Welcome to this explainer. You know, we usually think about energy in terms of electricity or the gas we put in our cars, but the most mind-blowing complex energy grid on the planet is literally operating inside you right this very second. We're going to dive into our intro to cellular respiration and explore exactly how this incredible microscopic machinery works.
So let's kick things off with what seems like a simple question. Why do our cells actually need us to breathe? I mean, we all know we need air to survive, for sure. But what is that oxygen actually doing once it hits your lungs and enters your bloodstream? Finding the answer to that is really the key to understanding how life sustains itself. And spoiler alert, it all comes down to unlocking the energy trapped inside your lungs.
To make sense of all this, we're going to follow this quick roadmap. First, we'll look at the cellular energy problem, then map out the respiration equation. Take a tour inside the powerhouse to the cell, walk through the three main stages, and finish up by comparing aerobic and anaerobic respiration. All right, let's jump right into stop number 1, the cellular energy problem. The core issue our bodies face is that just having food sitting in your stomach isn't enough. That energy has to be converted into the exact right format for your cells to actually use it. And that is where cellular respiration comes in. It's the process where cells break down glucose and release its stored chemical energy, trapping it inside a tiny molecule called ATP. And this isn't just a human process. This is the ultimate biological engine, keeping the lights on in almost every living organism on Earth. I really love this comparison because it hits the nail on the head. Glucose is packed with chemical energy. It's like a massive, solid gold bar. Obviously, it's incredibly valuable, but you can't exactly walk into a cafe and pay for a coffee with a solid gold brick, right? If a cell tried to use a whole glucose molecule all at once, the massive burst of energy would literally fry the cell. So, cellular respiration safely breaks that gold bar down into ATP. Think of ATP as spendable pocket change. It doles out energy in small, highly controlled amounts so your cells can get things done safely.
Which brings us to our second stop, the respiration equation.
So, how exactly do we turn that massive gold bar into usable pocket change? Well, here is the mathematical blueprint. I like to call this the formula for life. 1 molecule of glucose plus 6 molecules of oxygen yields 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, and our usable pocket change, ATP. Now, it looks super neat and tidy on the screen, but keep in mind this simple little equation is actually summing up dozens of crazy, complex, highly coordinated reactions happening inside your cells right now.
Let's break down what's actually going in and coming out. On the reactant side, we've got our fuel, glucose, and oxygen from the air we breathe, which acts as the final electron acceptor. Now, I know electron acceptor sounds like heavy science jargon, but hold tight, we'll get to exactly what an electron catcher does in just a second. These reactants are then converted into our products. We get our ATP plus water as a totally harmless byproduct, and carbon dioxide, which is just waste that we eventually breathe out. Now this is where things get really cool. Check out this dynamic duo. Photosynthesis stores energy by taking in carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to build glucose and oxygen. Then, cellular respiration steps up and does the exact opposite. It takes that glucose and oxygen, releases the energy, and spits out carbon dioxide and water. The products of one are the literal reactants of the other. It's this beautiful, infinite loop cycling matter through our ecosystems.
With the overarching equation out of the way, let's zoom in geographically for Section 3, inside the powerhouse.
Where is this magical transformation actually taking place? Well, while the very first step kicks off out in the fluid of the cell, the real heavy lifting happens right here in the mitochondrion. You know it, you love it, the powerhouse of the cell. Notice how it's built. It has a smooth outer membrane and a highly folded inner membrane called the crista. Those folds are absolutely crucial because they drastically increase the surface area. Inside all of that is a fluid-filled center called the matrix. Every single one of these specific structures has a vital job to do.
Let's see how those jobs play out in Section 4, the 3 main stages.
We have our map, so let's walk the assembly line. The breakdown happens in 3 distinct sequential stages: glycolysis, the Krebs Cycle, and the Electron Transport Chain. Why 3 stages? Well, like we talked about, if you released all that glucose energy at once, it would be a destructive burst of heat. Breaking it down gradually, step by step, is the only way the cell can harvest that energy safely and efficiently. Step 1 is glycolysis, which literally translates to splitting sugar. Notice the location. This happens outside the mitochondria, out in the cytoplasm. Here, the cell takes that 6-carbon glucose molecule and literally snaps it into smaller 3-carbon pieces called pyruvate. It only makes a tiny bit of ATP, but it also creates these molecules called NADH. You can think of NADH as tiny, loaded-up transport trucks carrying high-energy cargo. Keep those trucks in mind, they are going to be super important later on.
Step 2 moves us inside the powerhouse, right into that fluid-filled matrix for the Krebs cycle. Picture this like a molecular merry-go-round. The glucose fragments spin through this incredibly complex cycle, releasing a bit more ATP, and, here's the key, loading up a whole bunch more of those transport trucks, NADH, and a new one called FADH2. Oh, and fun fact, this is the exact stage that produces the carbon dioxide bubbling into your blood right now, waiting to be exhaled by your lungs.
And now the grand finale, Step 3, the Electron Transport Chain. This happens right on those deep folds of the inner membrane. Remember all those loaded-up transport trucks from the first 2 stages? They drive over here and drop off their energetic electrons. And remember that oxygen we talked about earlier? This is its big moment. Oxygen steps in at the very end of the line to catch those electrons. If you stop breathing, this whole chain literally jams up. But when it's running smoothly, this chain is the big payoff, churning out massive amounts of ATP.
But what happens if you're sprinting away from danger or lifting heavy weights and your assembly line suddenly runs low on oxygen? That brings us to Section 5, Aerobic versus Anaerobic Respiration. When we compare our options, the difference is pretty dramatic. What we've been talking about so far is aerobic respiration. It uses oxygen, completely breaks down the sugar, and gives us a huge, highly efficient ATP payout. It's what most plants and animals use to thrive. But when oxygen plummets, your cells switch to a backup plan, anaerobic respiration. This pathway doesn't need oxygen. It ferments the glucose instead. Now it makes ATP way faster, but in much, much smaller amounts. And yeah, this incomplete breakdown is exactly what causes that awful lactic acid burn in your muscles during a really intense workout.
So for us, anaerobic respiration is just a temporary backup system for our muscles. But amazingly, there are entire ecosystems of microorganisms out there, like bacteria living in deep-sea hydrothermal vents or buried deep in the soil, that rely entirely on this oxygen-free pathway just to survive. For them, there is no plan A. Anaerobic fermentation is their primary engine.
All right, let's tie it all together and look at the whole shebang. We start with the massive chemical energy locked inside glucose. We pass it through this beautifully precise series of cellular stations. Glycolysis splits it to pyruvate, the Krebs cycle strips out the energy carriers, and the electron transport chain cashes it all in for usable ATP. It is honestly an absolute masterpiece of biological engineering. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about this. Every single breath you take is fueling a microscopic assembly line, turning the food you eat into the energy you need to live. The next time you grab a snack or take a deep breath, ask yourself, how many trillions of tiny little mitochondria are firing up right now, seamlessly cycling matter and energy just to keep you going? The universe inside your cells is just as vast as the one outside. Thanks for exploring it with me today, and stay curious.